Welcome back to the channel, and today we're looking at an ERA Thunderbolt Manta Ray unit. This Manta Ray Thunderbolt is the second kind of revision or rendition of their Thunderbolt, the original being right here on the right, which I've had since about October 2023. It was, in that year, my favorite third-party kit, and it was one of my earliest third-party kits as well, and it held up pretty well. So that kit, I believe, got a custom made by a builder that is heavily themed and heavily customized version of it, and that was so popular that the vendor picked up that design. I hope they, collaborated with that builder and created this. This largely retains the inner frame and the main body of the original kit, which is good. This kit has a fully built out inner frame. There is no pre-assembled metal inner frames or screws or anything like that, which is awesome. And it holds up pretty well. This has a rather massive backpack and a very large sniper gun. Let me bring it up front. Let's focus on it real quick. So it has a very large kind of sniper gun and or a rail gun. Looks fantastic, but it's been able to hold this pose for well over a year now. Occasionally, like a right arm would sag because it has to bear so much weight of the gun, or the torso joint, like crunch joint, that can sag sometimes because of the. I mean, look at this backpack. It's just gigantic. And the backpack can be sort of transformed into like a separate unit that can then be held by an action base, which the action base for Thunderbolt I'm actually using for my Thor, for mid-flight pose. But anyway, I digress. So the inner frames are the same between these two, but obviously the biggest difference comes from the color scheme. It's completely different. And the accessory set. So while that has a very aggressive kind of flight unit, this is a very, very heavily themed marine theme, like Manta styled unit. So while the original Thunderbolt was a pretty good deal for the price, for like a master grade scale, for the price you get a lot of plastic to work with. It's quite well done as well. This is absolutely next level. I mean, if you look at the main body, it's fully built out. It's got gimmicks, when you bend the legs, there is sliding gimmicks, and so on and so forth. Oh, sorry. Let's reconnect that. I've been pausing it a lot. So it's got a lot of gimmicks. You have really good articulation on the feet. It's not only even the foot itself, like the toe articulation is just fantastic. Everything. It's so nice to pose around both of these kits, especially when you don't have the backpack attached. It is just a joy to play with, and the execution is very well. So largely the inner frame and the armor on the main body construction is the same between these two. However, obviously, for the color scheme, like the contrast color scheme, they did some nifty tricks. Most of them are pretty easy, such as, you just have left and right shoulder armors done in different colors, but at the same time, what they did on the chest, for example, this usually would be a single piece on any other kit, but on this kit, this is a separate part, and this is a separate part, so you get the armor color separation. But skirts or shoulders, you just mold mirror two sets of parts in different plastic color, which does create a pretty nice contrast. I like especially how they done the upper body. The legs are largely mirrored, so left and right legs I think are almost exactly the same, with the exception of, I think, rear armor, or maybe even not that. No, I think they are the same. So you only get difference between right and left leg by the decals that you apply. You obviously want some accents on the outside of the legs. even the rear part of the leg, this thruster that is like slightly articulated. You can see like when you open it up, some armor moves. See? And it's exactly the same as you have in the original Thunderbolt. Then when you bend the knee, first you have thigh joint slide, and then you have even more knee slide. So very nicely done. As I said, the feet are very nicely articulated. The waist has a drop joint option for even more articulation. The side skirts still look a bit weird. They're slightly odd shaped side skirts. I wasn't a huge fan of them in the original version, and they kind of retained them here. But, you know, they kind of fit the design, so they don't bother me much. But then, for example, the head unit is heavily different from the original one, so it does retain mostly the shape of the original head unit Thunderbolt, but it's like skeleton version. So they have a mohawk on top with like a reverse thingy here, and then this part, like the beak, I think I remember not many people being big fans of this beak, and the masks that the mask it kind of like a visor over the eyes there. This one is like skeletonized, like they cut out a bunch of parts so you can see the inner frame through it. And they obviously changed the side bits. These antennas or arrows are way smaller, and the shape of the armors is a bit different there, which looks pretty nice. There is a lot of inner frame that comes through the armor parts, and in my case I chose to chrome quite a few of them, so it kind of more stands out, and it almost makes an impression that the inner frame is a lot of like, it's metal. But it's like shiny metal, I don't know, almost like Psycho. I'm quite a fan of chrome lining, a lot of details, a lot of parts. If you watched any of my previous builds, you probably have noticed that trend. I don't know, I'm just a sucker for it, really. Then on the back side, it's rather plain, but at the same time it's pretty expressive. The shoulders look very nice. There's like mechanical detail coming through them. The shoulders are definitely much better done than the original Thunderbolt. The original Thunderbolt shoulders are very bulky, and that's pretty much it. They have some like opening gimmicks, but nothing really too exceptional. These ones have like shiny plastic and stuff like that. Then you have a very large backpack attachment, and we will talk about accessories in a minute. And I guess about the body, that's pretty much it. It's very kind of lightweight body. It's very sturdy, like in a good way. You don't feel like you're gonna break anything, but you feel like it's able to hold the pose, so you just kind of encourages you to play with it. Of course, that encouragement can turn into discouragement in a way, or rather, unnecessary complexity, in my view, if you attach the backpack to the body and then you try to pose it around. That is going to turn it into a bit of a chore, but I digress there. So accessories, this kit it's pretty much two kits in one, especially for the price. The value, I think, is absolutely astounding. So first accessory, the one I'm holding in hand, is the assault rifle. It's got a magazine that you can detach that has plated parts in it, like little capacitors. Very nicely molded. I absolutely love the combination of like mechanical design here and like more organic shapes, like more softer shapes here. While, for example, the main body is mechanical design plus softer shapes, the rifle is more like a skew towards a softer shape with mechanical design. And where it goes absolutely crazy is the backpack. I mean, the Manta Ray unit, first of all, it is gigantic. It's pretty much as many, if not more, parts than the main kit itself. It takes a lot of space, it has a lot of gimmicks, and it is modular as well. So basically what you get is the core unit. This is the backpack that you can also attach to the backpack. Then the front part is actually a shield. Let me try to disconnect it without breaking any of this. There you go. So this is the shield at the front. and these pistons are actually functional. So when you collapse the shield, the pistons move. And this is just such a nice design, and the shield is such a thematic accessory. You can see that the under part of it has a lot of detail, a lot of mechanical detail. I enjoyed building this so much, and how it is designed and how it is molded, that I think I panel-lined all of the inner frame here, even though you cannot see almost any of it when it's assembled and has all of the armor attached. I just felt like doing it, you know, like when you get that bug when you build the kit and you enjoy it so much that you just want to go at it. So the core also has a cockpit in it, and the cockpit is like a little wheel that can be removed. I'm not going to remove it now because it's a bit of a hassle to do that. But basically there is a tiny little pilot sitting inside the cockpit right there, and this is wheel that can be removed out of it. Then you have two wings, which are ginormous. You will see on the videos, on the beauty shots, how big they are and how much articulation and gimmicks they have to them. But basically, so the wing here has a floating thruster that you can extend the wing, and then the thruster shows up, which is awesome. The wings obviously can articulate front and back. They can also articulate a bit upwards. If you remove this part, you can see hopefully these like small gray parts on the underside of the wings. Then it allows them to also articulate inwards, which is a very nice thing. The manual tells you to attach this part. I actually forgot to attach it when I first assembled the kit, and then it was a lot of articulation, but then I noticed I have spare parts, which is not really common for third-party kits. And yeah, so like if you want to have it like really flat, this part limits the movement and makes it a bit sturdier, so it's like flat. But if you want it to bow, then you can easily remove that part and do that. Then you have opening thrusters. So these thrusters can kind of fold in like this. There you go. And then you have a bunch of guns. The underside, as you can see, has a lot of detail on it. The guide will tell you to apply a few decals. I also panel-lined and detailed it, so whenever there is like a thruster or something like that, I added more chrome there. Everything has been panel-lined. Then you have articulated arms on the underside that then hold these two guns. So these are like two blades slash... I can actually show it from the upside. There you go. That's much easier. So the two articulated arms can hold these two blades slash guns, and I have some I think a pose with them in the video shots. So the articulated arms can attach them to the wings. Then you can sort of navigate them to extend to the back, like be the tail of the Manta unit. Then you can take the trident, which is the most thematic accessory from the kit, like on brand for sure. And you use a special holder, like double-sided, kind of affix, hopefully you can see it on a video, to hold the trident as like the tip of the tail for the Manta Ray unit. And when you transform all of it together, it looks like a, obviously gigantic accessory. It looks phenomenal. Keep in mind that if you just do it straight out of the box build, there's a lot of plated plastic, like this silver and green, but a lot of these parts, they are deep blue and they're quite shiny, and I chose to top coat mine with flat. So at first, I cleaned it all up, then I panel-lined it with chrome to add a little bit of like mechanical detail to otherwise dark flat parts. So for example, you can see here, right under the 03 marker, there's like a silver circle. So that's a chrome marker cleaned up and then top coated over it. So out of the box, it doesn't look too bad, but if you can spare some time and money to apply some top coat to it, obviously it makes colored plastic look that much better. So I'm very happy I took the time to do that. Yeah, so the Manta Ray unit, I think even if they decided to sell it separately, that this thing, if priced well, would just you know, sell out for sure. It looks really cool. It is, I don't remember whether the original Thunderbolt comes with two action-based necks. This one definitely does. So there is like the main in era are action-based neck, which has like a height extension option to it, and that's pretty much it. Then you can also articulate this front and back, and there's like a button that you have to depress to then articulate it, right? And then you kind of press in the button and holds it in place, which is good. But then you also have this arm that has options to articulate at the bottom, which the other one doesn't. So you can sort of swivel it all the way down, then you can swivel it like this, then you can attach the front, and then you can recreate, or rather create, a pretty cool shot where the kid stands on top of this thing. If you do that, I had to experiment quite a bit with it to see in what pose the kit doesn't drop from this thing, because it's all becoming very unstable if you put a kit on it. So the heel has a little bit of like a protrusion to it right here, right? And the leg is quite articulated. So if you can find a way to kind of put the heel there and the leg there, it kind of holds it in place. You have to bend the legs appropriately, of course, or navigate everything to kind of fit right. But then you can kind of turn this guy into a bit of a surfer. So let's see if we can make that live. Almost. Ish. But anyway, hopefully you get the idea. There is this gun, one of the guns is a good flat spot for the rear leg, and one of these openings is really good sort of spot for the front leg. But of course, be creative, figure out a pose that you really like and just try to make it work. If you do the top coat, obviously the more you try this, the higher is the chance you're gonna scratch your top coat and stuff like that, the painting as well, so be very careful. But anyway, in terms of the downsides for this kit, there are not really that many. I guess it would have been cool if they did the color alteration on the head as well. They had parts, so these are two separate parts on the head. Let me slide all of this back a little bit so we can focus on it more. It would have been cool if it was color alternation on the head as well. Then I believe the custom that they modeled this after had a better curve execution on the Mohawk. At least I liked it more. Also would have been maybe cool if they did change the skirts on the side, because they are kind of weird. I just don't like their style all that much. But I understand that might have, if they redesigned the core parts, it might have increased the price quite a bit, because it would have taken more R&D to do so, right? In this case, they mostly just reprinted parts using different plastic, different colors. The downsides of the original one are here as well, especially in the main body. So the original one is really well done, and for the time I didn't really know or care as much about gate marks and stuff like that. I was just super blown away by the entire hobby. Now I care a bit more, especially when it comes from a vendor that I know can do better. So this has a lot of gate marks that can be quite obvious if you really look at them, and some of them are on color plastics, which makes them even more obvious. For example, there is a gate mark on the shoulder right in the front here, like absolute disgrace. Put a gate mark here. Here's one in white plastic, but that one is much easier to hide. Then there are gate marks on these rear thrusters on the legs, and when it stands up front, you can actually see them very, very well. Granted, all of it is super tiny in real life, right? So you have to be up close and personal and looking for it. There are gate marks on the side of the scope on the rifle, which is a completely new design, right? Not very good. There is way less of the gate marks on the Manta unit, but still plenty, and in some of them are in quite obvious spots, which is unfortunate. I think if not for the gate marks, it would have been a 10 out of 10. Otherwise, it's a 9 out of 10, at least for me. And in terms of like extra spare parts, you get a variety of action-based attachments. As is somewhat typical, I think, of in Era, they don't give you. I think though the Infinite Dimension Nemesis has a lot of different hand parts. I don't remember. I'll have to double check and I'll put it in the comment section or in the video description or the subtitle here. But anyway, so this has only like 4 pairs of hands. 2 hands that allow for like grippy holds and stuff like that, and 2 with articulated thumbs, and 2 pairs of hands that allow for like holding hands. And that's it. And you just have to swap out the fingers every time. It's fine. A bit of a hassle when you go through poses for filming, for example. I like it when you have just a lot of hands, so I can sometimes pre-attach them to the accessories and just leave them as such. Then you also have a couple of wires, so the kind of missile tips on the back can be removed. Then you can put a gray spacer, attach the wire there, and have the missiles flying around. I decided not to do that. Then the action base, as also typical for in Era, they always have like a graphic that you can put under plastic there, like the original one had it too. You have I think 3 or 4 options of different cards. They're all double-sided to put under that thing. I chose to put a black one. I just like the contrast of that. Then in terms of the manual and the decal guide, the decal sheet looks not too bad. It can look like you have a lot of decals to work with, but in reality you have a lot of alternate color parts. Like for example, these ones are gray ones, and the color that I chose to apply is like acid pink ones. I just wanted it to be a bit more colorful, so you can see, like for example on the legs, these pink decals you could have had, or I could have had them in gray. So you have a lot of decals left over, but that's not because you have to apply a lot of them, but rather because they have a lot of extra spare parts. And then the guide is a soft cover guide. As per usual, it has a runner inventory, right? A couple of spare parts marked as X, as you would have in a Bandai decal, which is absolutely typical. No plastic type indication, which is also typical, but still unfortunate. I really wish third-party vendors started doing more PS plastic and more clear communication as to what plastic is what runner. And then the instructions themselves are sometimes multi-step. They're black and white with a colored indicator for the kind of where the interaction is taking place. And at the very end, you have a slide, kind of explanation what sort of gimmicks you got, how different things can be attached and posed. And then at the very, very end, you have a 3-page decal suggested guide, right? So the entire body, all the numbers are accurate, gladly, no kind of confusion there. And you can see the entire page for the Manta unit itself. It might look like a lot, but really it took me maybe 2 evenings to get the decals done. And if it took me that long, probably will take you an hour. Other than that, let's do a couple of really quick size comparisons. And I hope you enjoy the review, and I hope you enjoy the beauty shots. It's a fantastic kit. If you get a chance to get it, consider getting one from Gundam.com, and a quick word from them.
I buy almost all of my figures and third-party kits at Gundam.com. They offer great prices, awesome customer service, and a nice points program. If you decide to shop for your next kit or figure there and would like to support this channel even more, consider using reviewer code SKH. It helps the channel a lot. As always, do your own research and only purchase from stores that you are comfortable with. Now, back to the video.
So yeah, if you decide to get one, appreciate you supporting the channel, appreciate you watching this video. I always love interacting with all of you in the comment section. The next build will probably be a couple of Bandai kits. Vidar is just waiting right next on my shelf, begging to be built. And I have never built Barbados as well, so might as well do that. And I hope you enjoy the video shots. Look forward to interacting with you in the comment section. Have a lovely day, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye-bye.
P.S. I completely forgot to mention in the review the custom head unit LED that I created for this kit. There is a pose or two in the beauty shots that uses it, and the wire is very exposed because in the middle of the building process I saw Cosmos's announcement of the Nemesis LED set. At the very end of that video they tease upcoming Manta unit LED set. I'm hoping that will be something good. If it is, I'll be sure to acquire it and install and review it on the channel. But until then, I'm not gonna spend any more effort trying to hide my own wires because, you know, it might be fruitless. Regardless though, the time-lapse video for this kit will show you how to place the wire, how to very slightly modify this kit to install the head unit LED. And yeah, hopefully that comes in handy. And once again, I hope you enjoy the video shots and thank you for watching. Bye bye.
Alright.